Greetings, Designing Your Life community. This is Dave Evans and
Bill Burnett.
Coming to you almost live, depending on where you're watching us, on video from our respective shelter-in-place home offices.
Yeah.
It is Tuesday, the 31st of March, and we've been getting lots of requests from lots of people about, hey guys, could you help us design our COVID lives? So we're gonna have a little series. This is the first of them, and the first thing to do is kind of refresh our toolkit. The simple version of designing your life is 4 steps. Get curious, talk to people, try stuff, tell your story. How can those 4 steps, that simple little toolkit, help you get through the COVID crisis? Well, we're going to dive into that, but before we even get to step 1, we got to get to step 0. What's step 0 about, Bill?
Step 0 is about accept. As you remember from the diagrams in the book or from anything else that you've read, we start with acceptance because designers start with reality. We got to just start with what we have in front of us and what we can design into. And right now, the things have really changed. Reality is quite different than it was even 3-4 weeks ago. And if you remember, we like to think about the kinds of problems we can actually work on. And then we have other kinds of problems that we call gravity problems, where if it's just a circumstance, it's not a problem because there's nothing you can do about it. And right now, for at least for the next few months, the COVID-19 crisis has put everybody in a shelter-in-place environment. Dave's in his office. I'm in the second bedroom in my house. Not leaving to go out very much, just going down to the little grocery store to make sure we've got some fresh vegetables in the house. But it is a gravity problem, and we're all going to be in it for a while. So step 1, accept, means that we have to look at the situation we're in, a gravity problem with the COVID-19 crisis, and decide how we want to react. But the problem with accept, sometimes we sound a little bit like drill sergeants or something. Just accept the world, accept the world. It's not really that way.
No, because there's more than one kind of accept, it turns out. And by the way, gravity problems, almost nobody likes gravity problems. Nobody likes a problem that's so big you can't do anything about it because you want to change it. And so it feels like a forced reality. And we've identified there are 3 kinds of ways, 3 mindsets, and designers, if anything, pick their mindsets carefully. 3 ways to accept something. You can acquiesce to it like, well, okay, there's nothing I can do. And we would say that's being oppressed by your acceptance and helps you feel victimized and lifeless. And that's not particularly generative, and we're pro-generative. You can say, well, I'm going to tough it out. I can do this. I'm putting on the long pants and here we go, and that's the suppressed version of acceptance. I'm just going to stuff it down. We got to play the long game here, and that's going to come back and bite you. So we don't recommend either being oppressed by acquiescence or being suppressed by toughing it out. There's a third way, which is to engage your acceptance, which is an empowering thing, and that is exactly what designers do. Designers are people who engage the world through doable action. And so we're recommending accept 2 things: that there is a COVID crisis, accepting that there is a new lifestyle that goes with that COVID crisis that has to do with properly sheltering in place, both to protect yourself, your loved ones, and the globe at large by flattening the curve. You've all been hearing about that. That's what we all ought to be doing. So let's accept, and accept well and generatively, which allows us to really engage the new normal. What's new normal, Bill? How does a designer do the new normal?
Well, the whole phrase, the new normal, is kind of an oxymoron, because if it's new, it's not normal. And if it's normal, it's been around for a while. So I think it's an appropriate step, I guess, in this step of moving through the acceptance to a sort of a biased action. What can I actually do? What can I engage in and do? And I think designers are hopefully going to be the first people to move from this expression, new normal, to just saying, well, this is the normal situation. And designers love constraints. This is just a new set of constraints. How can I create a sustainable life? I'm not going to suppress my emotions. I'm not going to pretend I'm not sad. I'm very sad for lots of things. Lots of bad stuff is going on in the world. I'm sad. Sometimes I'm fearful. Well, let's acknowledge that this is a time when you can be kind of afraid, and that's not unreasonable. I think unreasonable fear and hoarding toilet paper is probably not a good reaction. But we want to move from the new normal to a normal. And so what we have to do is we have to start with a radical acceptance that this is what's going to be true for now. accept that it's a gravity problem. It can't be changed. And so energy spent around being surprised every day that this is what I've got in front of me, or surprised every day when the numbers go up and up and up because we're still on the upside of that curve. It's not useful. And so we want to be able to move our mindset from this is some kind of a temporary transition to, well, actually, this is normal. It's not new. It's not just, it's going to be the normal. And if it is going to be the normal, how do I design into it? And that brings us back to our 4-step process of getting curious, talking to people, trying stuff, and telling your story.
So in wrapping this up on acceptance, one thing to keep in mind, by the way, there's an article that just came out last week of the Harvard Business Review on that discomfort you're feeling is called grief. The whole world is in grieving the lifestyle we've had to give up for at least a time. And it's going to be a long enough time, we should get good at giving it up and moving it on. So, grief has the classic 5 Kubler-Ross stages of denial, anger, bargaining, then getting depressed, and then finally acceptance. And a lot of people I'm talking to are starting to feel that, okay, I think I can do that. I mean, I really don't like this. That's the depression thing. Move through acceptance. By the way, those things repeat. And Kessler, one of Kubler-Ross's colleagues, conceived the 6th stage of grief, which is meaning making. And we'll recommend and maybe even send out some links. So look for, Google the HBR article, that discomfort you're feeling is grief. It talks about the 6th stage of grief. It's going to be something we're going through off and on for a while, but you can still be proactive acceptors. Bill, let's maybe finish with, again, do stuff, guys, set the bar low. I'll share one thing I'm doing, you share one thing you're doing to be in the new normal. Literally, when Bill and I got on a Zoom call before we started recording, Bill says, "Hey, Dave, how's it going now?" And I said, "Well," I said, all things considered, I guess it's going pretty well." And I've decided I'm going to no longer say, "Well, all things considered," because that's like every day I'm reminding myself it's not the way it's supposed to be. It is just the way it is. I'm now in the new normal. So if Bill said, "Hey, Bill, ask me the question, how's it going?"
How's it going, Dave?
It's going good.
Good.
How about you? What's the new normal for you?
Yeah, I find that with this always online, and we're going to start our classes at Stanford next week, and so I'll be online a lot. I'll be on Zoom, 5-6 hours a day. I'm having trouble keeping track of time. I'm having trouble separating work from relaxation, from play, from other things. So I have set a very hard stop at 3:30. I log out of all of my digital stuff. I walk 4 blocks through an alley where I don't meet any other people to my studio, which is completely isolated and there's no one else there. So it's perfectly sheltered in place. And I go back, as many of you know, I'm a painter and I like to paint. And here is a painting, a background. I'm now in Yosemite Valley. This is sort of an impressionistic view of Yosemite Valley. There's Half Dome in the back. But I find that if I don't set up specific times during the day, I forget what day it is. And if I work through the weekend, I drive myself crazy. So it's going to be a marathon, not a sprint, guys. Set up a schedule so you can really manage your time. Oh, and then here's Dave. Dave is a sailor, as you know.
And sometimes he goes sailing, and sometimes if he's lucky, he can see a whale spouting right off the bow of the boat. So you do what you can. And good luck with accepting well and enjoying what's available in what is presently normal. And we'll talk more about those other 4 steps in another video. Thanks for coming. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.